Hey everybody, Bill in Virginia. Welcome back. So this time it's going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge of different things that I'm going to be working on. First thing that I'm starting with is I've got basic ground cover in on the other side of the active logging scene. I will let that set up a little bit, and I will add this area more of a pile of logs sort of in this space here near the tracks. Won't do too much in the back, probably add a couple of stumps and then just some other piles of vegetation and cut material just to kind of finish off this area here. And you can see it's all really wet yet, so I just finished it up. Then what I'm going to be doing as well is I went out to the dirt pile that I've got behind my shed and got a bunch of additional dirt. This is made up of a mix. You can see a lot of organics in it. This is actually pretty dry. So what I will do is I will sift out the size that I want, and then the rest of this I'll just leave sitting in the garage and let it continue to dry. By the time I use a bit more of it on the center module before I'm all done, you know, it'll be really dry. The stuff that I put in for the ballast in and around the tracks on the narrow gauge, again, it's dry. It doesn't have to be absolute dry because I wet it and then put the dilute white glue on it anyway, and it's not going anywhere. So I'll sieve this up and get some of that so that I can come back over here and I will be able to ballast this track. I can get pretty much on all sides because I'm going to be using the same dirt when I build the road over here. So I can take this down to the seam of the module easily enough, right down to here at this point. And in fact, I'd probably just take it all the way along through here and bring it back up to here because most of the scenery is done over there, just a few touch-up spots. So those are the things that I'm going to be working on here right at the start, and then cutting some more logs for that area. So quite a few things going on today. Well, more than today, this week. So more to come. Basic application of the dirt ballast is done. I've got it spread on. I will come back in with my finger and essentially kind of move it from the side. That's really all I do on this. Just kind of pushes it off of the tie, you know, go down in the middle and just kind of make sure it's in, not very hard. And I will come back in with a very soft paintbrush just to kind of make sure I don't have anything here. Now, when I spray it with isopropyl alcohol, that tends to mobilize anything that's up high. And I will use my fingernail and my thumb just to make sure I'm going along the track, just to get rid of any buildup. And you can see right here there was some. And then just use your fingers again, a couple of times across, and it's off or below the spike heads. Same thing on the other side. A couple of fingers, you can kind of feel if you've got something. You just kind of move your fingers along. Again, you can kind of see some material here that's come out. You might have to do that a few times just to make sure everything is off. And the isopropyl alcohol, when I spray it on, will tend to settle everything. So it'll kind of clean off the tops of the tracks, what I've missed, and give it a good base for the glue. So let's kind of run along here on the outside. Yeah, I don't want it too close to the track. And I'll come back in, you know, with a brush and my hand and just kind of knock it down on the sides. But you can get an idea of how it looks. And I do this for all of it, including the O scale. All right, there we go. So I will come in with a soft brush and just give it a quick hit. And after that, I will be able to spray it down with isopropyl alcohol and give it some drops of glue in different areas. And I will use some logs and stuff to kind of build this up. I did solder these rail connectors in place, did that last night. Like I said, I might, add some ties, like something's moving this way. I don't know yet. When I get over there, I'll figure that one out. But this is ready to be glued. Doesn't take long. It really doesn't take long to get your track ready to go. So I will spray this down and show you the next steps on this real quick as we move forward. So this part is a fun part for me. I've got my isopropyl alcohol, usually 70% is good enough. Then my dilute white glue, and for this I do a 50-50 dilute or dilution ratio. If I do any less, more glue, less water, then even with the isopropyl alcohol, it doesn't sink in well. So it's easy. Just spritz it, get it nice and damp. You don't have to go too far. And then it's adjusting so you get a drop basically in between each tie. It will spread out. And by the time I'm done, because I'll get the sides as well, it will all meet in the middle. And I will come back and I'll do more on the outside so that I catch the sides of where I'm doing the ballast work. And if I've got any areas that are not soaking in well, I will come back in and give it a quick spray with more isopropyl alcohol. But you can kind of see how I do this. So I will finish the rest of this up and then show you what it looks like as it's drying. So just a few minutes later, and the glue is completely on up to the end of this module. I will let it soak in, and if I have any areas where I've oversaturated it, I'll take a paper towel and not blot, but just let it sit on top of where the excess glue is and wick it up. But right now I'm going to come back in with some different materials and start to do the transition between the tracks and over here, just to kind of give it a more of a blended appearance in. So we'll see what that looks like here in just a little bit. So here's how it looks after I've done some additional work along it. So I will just let the glue set. It is in good shape all along here. On the opposite side of the tracks from where I'm standing, I added glue to kind of fill in the embankment a little bit. It goes, let's see here, off on this side, and then added some additional ground cover, some additional dirt materials from the garden. Over here, I will wait to do anything more until I get this area farther along. I did glue, each individual in between the ties, but I did not come back and glue anything else. If that falls or gets messy, I don't care, because I'm still got a lot of work to do over on this side. But the scene's looking pretty good. Once that dries, that ought to look nice. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Wednesday night is wrapping up. I'm gonna go in, done a little bit more in and around this scene, cut up some of the dead bush to add some logs along the track, just the offcuts from those little twigs, crumbled, spread around, sawdust, little itty bitty leaf stalks, all scattered along the track, just to give it a look that it's logging. Did add one more big one over onto this pile over here. You can see I did a little bit more with different ground covers. The glue still very wet, but all soaked in. So just let that dry. Be overnight. By this time tomorrow, it should be dry. Be a little lighter in color, but not much. And some of you might have picked up that the color of this is different than the color that I'd used over on that side, and that's on purpose. This is a area that's, recently had tracks put in. Earth a little bit darker, where they cut up and dug up sod and whatnot to do the logging, put that on there. You can see in this pan, I've got the two different colors. So this color is what I put on tonight, and this is material that I've been using. So when I get down to the switch, where this track, again in my world, has been here for a while, it's going to be more of this color. There will be some blends of the darker mixed in to make it look like, it's going through different soil types as the track's gone in. But I saved some of the original material so that I've got the same colors, and that will be my dominant one on the main for the narrow gauge as I go around and pick it up over on the other side. So just kind of a blend, just kind of mix it up a little bit, because it's, nature, and nothing is the same in nature. It's always a little bit different. So always fun to mix it up when you're doing your modeling. So anyway, that's it for tonight. We'll see what mischief I can get into tomorrow. So next thing I'm gonna make on here is a little pile of debris. And this is gonna be material that my dozer has shoved into place. So I'm going to use a small wad of paper towels to build material up on top of it. I have laid down some 50/50 dilute white glue. I've soaked up the paper towel. I'm going to give it a covering of soil material. And then I'm going to build it up with some other odds and ends, including this root and other things to make it look like it's been pushed into place. The area behind it here is going to be just more like ground cover, brush, and then this will make that transition of a pile of crud, and then areas where that dozer has scraped. So this will be more of that brown soil in here. So let's see how this is going to turn out. So a couple of minutes later, and I've covered that paper towel soaked in white glue with odds and ends, Woodland Scenic's ground cover, and then just bits and pieces of wood debris that I've had laying around for other scenic material use. So what I'll do is I'll add a little bit of the darker soil in front here, and I will glue in some ground cover over here from the haircuts of the pine trees and get this little area pretty much completed. We'll add some tufts of grass and some other things along the rock, but I'll do that later. So a little bit more on this before I wrap up this video. So this is going to wrap it up for this video. I've got a lot done in a short amount of time up here. You can see where my dozer is going to be working. Got the end of the rails covered. I'm still going to do a little touch-up paint. I haven't glued anything in place yet, but I will glue the logs in position. I will glue the stacks of logs together at least a little bit so that I don't get too much movement. And then I've got my little thicket put in behind that pile. I'll probably add a couple of small sprigs of super tree material in there at some point. Those will be small, they won't count towards the tree total for the contest that's going on currently. But you can kind of see this from different angles here. Excuse the school glue. You can kind of look down and see how I've got it. Yeah, looks pretty good to my eye. I'll add probably some flowers into that thicket as well. And when I do additional detailing, there'll be some clumps of grass kind of poking up here and there along here, like what I've done on the other side. So it's still quite a bit more to do. As I've done before, I like to get the basic scenery in place before I come back and start to really detail the scenery part. So still lots more to do, but just taking it a little bit at a time. I think on the next video, what I'm going to be doing is starting to build more trees, start to get some worked out probably for this area here. And I might also start doing some of the additional detailing around the bend up high. I can get ground cover in and around that, and fairly well done probably, because then when I get that done, I can ballast from probably the bridge on around to the other section and get that part reasonably done. Once I get that done, then I can start to go down and clean up the track, do a quick vacuum for everything that's kind of tumbled downhill, and then I can start doing the ballasting down there as well as other scenic details. We'll see what I can get done on the next one. So with that, keep having fun on your layouts. Until next time.